God damn it, you've got to be kind. Kurt Vonnegut. This war cannot be won. The memory of the garden illusion caught me up again in the turmoil, viewing my inner self as an old person looking at distant scenery. And whenever the owner was asked to put on a demonstration, when he gave the mule his first command, add the badly painted backdrop, plus my gaze to the left, it is not a good place to be to follow any verbal order you're given. First, you have to get my attention. Someone somewhere is trying to get my attention. The query came from somewhere inside me, quite gracefully. Add tired, plus decide what such and such really is. Add effective tools in the war against so monstrous a wrong. Add ideology superimposed on us during the course of our learning. Add the maverick must be allowed to retreat to his private domain and live in any manner he finds rewarding. Add interminable conversations with your cats, plus watching television all day long, plus as long as we don't interfere with the freedom or well-being of any other person. Plus easier enforcement will catch more criminals. Plus the international politics of debt. Add a lot of what I've been talking about has to do with the other guy. Add more and more companies are requiring pre-employment urine testing, not just bus drivers and firemen. Add furniture salesmen, grocery store clerks. Add recipients of public housing, university loans, or academic grants. Add veteran cops. Add the daily shaving of the head and body. Today verbal assurance is acceptable, but what about tomorrow? Add tomorrow. At what extent do you feel it is justifiable for someone else to control your personal behavior if it contributes to the public benefit? And I have questions in one pocket and secrets in the other. And I've got nothing to hide. To this delicious feeling of being alive, add definition of a police state were it to quietly materialize around you. Plus proportions of any serious effort to help those with debilitating mental illnesses. Add children who have no families, no food, no education, and no hope. Plus interactive software. Add we're a drag strip. Remodeling experts. Add redneck gangs with names like the Spook Hunters. Add panicky local authority. Subtract modernism. Add propaganda, reasonable suspicion, swift action. If you are a person in authority, you now don't have to confront the suspected wrongdoer, you confront their possessions instead. Add quick-witted reporters, add legislature, boot camps. To six-pack stucco tenements, add weed and seed urban rescue. Weary populations preoccupied with fantasies of becoming Byzantium. Electrified teenagers of all classes. Deceptive technology. Add your personal limits. Add our parents' permission. The social burden of servicing the deficit. Add comment. I had a horrible nightmare last night, far more intense than any dream I've had in years. Add I was at a hotel. Add everything I owned was in the room. Plus I'm naked. This wonderful glow inside my being, the expanse of green grass and the shimmering leaves vibrating in the sunlight, making this a wonderful place to sit and contemplate. Here is what happened. This is a poem for my brother. It's called Chairs Missing. History isn't clear. In other words, if the child is taught with love and respect by wise teachers, the portals of heaven open. You can fly up over the top of the volcano like a bird and look down on it. Beautiful eyes that really see you. The wonder of the world is ever present. Tell me when you get there. What is needed is a recognizable molecule that carries the unstable promise to the brain, a good-humored Buddha area of the self. I've tried and tried, but it keeps slipping away. We stopped at a spot overlooking the bay, at the same time both observing and performing. After the patrolman followed us, we joked about dodging a bullet, the first stirrings of pleasant feelings evident without introspective urges. Afterward, sleeping was tricky, but it worked out okay. I said thank you, but I have to go, on with the rest of my life. It's simple, I think. I open my mouth to say just that, but everyone says something along these lines, seeing places and things with their eyes closed. A clear vision of big cities as actors in their own right. When I close my eyes, the first stirrings of pleasant feelings become evident. I rise and lead the way through the kitchen and dining room and down the hallway to the bedroom, feeling solidly connected to the physical world. The good-humored Buddha area of the self. I spend the night on a pad in their bedroom, for once tired by the music, the air clean and cool. The piano plays on undeterred, and in my place on the floor, I imagine my preferred self-image awakening to clinical sunshine. It's yet another distraction. How fast do you hold to yourself, saying tiresome truths over and over again to the tired people who rush into your life? Have you ever been to Death Valley? I've wanted to see it for years, but haven't yet had the chance. There are personalities you never forget. We packed the car with sandwiches and the makings of a good salad. The idea appealed to everyone. For the first time, I missed the road. At the entrance, a small sign nailed to a telephone pole announced fresh oysters for sale, as if I'd built an imaginary destination in my mind. What will operate against a swift frame is a certain coolness in the work. When we walked into the living room, my chest tightened, though I knew what to expect. So far, it wasn't at all like my fantasy. The kitchen was comfortably large, with a linoleum floor so old its original pattern was lost in a general brownness. He led me down the hall and out the back door. We walked along a narrow dirt path, past clumps of early narcissus, under buckeye and pine trees. One scene in particular stays with me. The hero has wandered into a valley where he sees all around him plants thrusting up by the tens of thousands. For most of my life, whenever I was being introduced to a room full of people I didn't know, the tiny muscles on either side of my mouth would go into twitching spasms if I tried to maintain a smile. Noise erupted around the table. Names of people and places I didn't recognize were flying everywhere. Outside was the green world. If he was from Venus, would he feed us with a spoon? The chords are such colors as pleased the artist, and that is the reason, I think, they now please others. The more I think about it, the more miffed I am that I wasn't asked to that party. Good grief, why am I being treated like a baby? A lot of work gets done here, and a lot of magic has happened in this place over the years. He loves it. He really loves this room and what he's done in it. When it came, the sound from his throat was strangled, as if he had come to the end of some strange, exhausting battle. The most sacred things carry us beyond words. The story of a major alteration of consciousness that occurred because apparently it was time for it to happen. I had the impression that some corner of his soul was still attached to wherever he'd been, but the ties were weakening. We clustered around him in chairs and on the floor. He'd launch into us about our appearances. Everything you do, it seems like you strive for anonymity. Thank you, I said, reaching up and stroking the side of his cheek. I feel horrible for all of his women. There were no other girls to hang out with. Believe me, it was mostly guys, and the few women that were there didn't really know they were women. It's hard to believe I finally met somebody who's trying all of these things, exploring the universe, and isn't afraid of discovery, when most people want just to make enough money to support families and house payments and buy the usual nice things. For years and years I've been fascinated by this whole idea of experience, of exploration. And I've read Huxley and Michaud and anybody else I could find who seemed to know anything about it. I kept gazing at him, trying not to let my happiness show. It was a rare thing for me to be feeling so happy. I had long ago figured out the conflicts involved in trying to clear up any accumulation of objects that represented some part of myself, especially an unwanted part. But that wore off pretty quickly. There are coordination problems with the fingers, a few little odd neurological signs that bear watching. What am I doing to my body? When I first started performing, I got a kind of thrill out of it. I had exactly what I wanted. There were mornings when I felt like the king of the world. I'd imagined myself into my life. Everything you do, it seems like you strive for anonymity. I like to think, because of my unlimited talent, I would have risen back to the top and been recognized sooner or later anyway. But that's not necessarily true. Basically, I have one feeling, the desire to get out of here. Do you want me to quit, or do you want rock and roll? One of the problems in talking about this kind of exploration is vocabulary. There simply aren't the right words available, words everyone can agree on to do a good job of defining this territory. We got chased all the same. These fucking rednecks just came out of a truck and started shooting at us. There was this law in Memphis where if your hair touched the top of your ears, you could be arrested for being a homosexual. I remember not having any sort of feeling of anything but verbal aggression. I had no feeling of physical aggression. Do you want rock and roll, or do you want me to quit? We clustered around him in chairs and on the floor. He'd launch into us about our appearances. Decorate the tree, kids. I have come to appreciate at a very deep level the possibility that this state, blessedly transient, might be the day-to-day reality of some guy out there on the street. The house is dominated by its 3-story living room, an impressive fireplace, built out of impressive dark stone and volcanic rock. From the outside, this was an impressive-looking A-frame house. The windows were immense, allowing a view of trees and the Mississippi which flowed past us. There was no insulation anywhere. We were cold all the time. Thank you very much.